So now let's prepare our hearts and minds for a time of meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable position in your seats and settle in. Close your eyes if you wish. Take some nice deep breaths. Let go of any distractions or worries that may be on your mind. David Trolley will be with music before that meditation.
Love came down at Christmas. Love, a loving love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Stars and angels gave the sign. Love shall be our token. Love be yours and love be mine. Love to God and all of us. Love for peace and gift and sign. Love came down at Christmas. Love, all loving love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Stars and angels gave the sign. Yes, stars and angels gave the sign.
Deep, deep, deep breath in now and hold it for just a moment. Hold it and then slowly release it. Slowly let it out. Slowly let go and let's settle in together into divine love. Divine love. Divine love everywhere present. There's not one cell in my body where divine love is not. I am divine love. Focusing on the breath now, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in love, exhaling love. Divine love flows through me now. Taking in another deep breath, holding it for just a moment.
This box cost almost twice as much as what I usually pay through Amazon. Oh, God. A black bag.
And then on the exhale, we breathe out. We breathe out divine love. We breathe out divine love and focus on the breath again. Breathing in and breathing out. The body begins to relax. The body begins to relax and we begin to settle into this time that's especially for you, especially for me, especially for each of us. A time to renew, a time to refresh, a time to let go of thoughts that no longer serve us, a time to allow our imagination to create new thoughts, to bring new thoughts into this human experience, to imagine. I imagine divine love. I imagine love. I imagine love flowing through me. I imagine love flowing through each person on this planet. I imagine love flowing through all sentient beings on this planet. I imagine breathing in and breathing out. The belly begins to relax, the shoulders drop, the jaw drops. My feet are planted firmly on Mother Earth, and the divine love of Mother Earth flows into me now. And as divine love flows into me, the body relaxes even more. And the breath in and the breath out settles my body down. And as my body settles down, my mind settles down. The thoughts begin to slow. The thoughts begin to slow, and divine love flows through my mind, flows through my thoughts. I breathe in, I breathe out, I relax. I feel the essence of love. God is, I am. Love is, I am. I am love. I am love. Breathing in and breathing out, I can feel love around me. I can feel love inside me. I feel harmony. I feel joy. I feel peace. I feel contentment. I am love. I am love. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. And now we sit here in the midst of this love, in a time of silence, in a time of loving each other, in a time of loving ourselves. We sit in the silence, in love, in the silence. Breathing in and breathing out now. Breathing in and breathing out. filled with divine love, faith, peace, love. Taking in another deep breath and holding it for just a moment. And then exhaling, I begin the journey back to this present moment. Breathing in, breathing out, wiggling the fingers and toes, licking the lips to get them moist again, moving the shoulders up and down and back and forth, and taking in one more breath. And on the exhale, slowly allowing the eyes to open. And we say, thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for love. And so it is. Amen.
Love is not proud. Love does not boast. Love, after all, matters the most. And love does not run. Love does not hide. And love does not keep locked inside. Love is a river that flows through. Love never fails you. Love will sustain. Love will provide. Love will not cease at the end of time. And love will protect. Love always hopes. And love still believes when you don't. Love is the arms that are holding you. Love never fails you. When my heart won't make a sound, when I can't turn back around, and when the sky is falling down, nothing is greater than this, greater than this. Love is right here. Love is alive. Love is the way, the truth, the life. Love is a river that flows through. And love is the arms that are holding you. And love is the place you will fly to. Love never fails you.
David Trolley, the music ministry of David Trolley. Thank you, David. That was absolutely beautiful. And you know, it's the truth. It's the truth. Love never fails you. Love never fails you. Let's visit that song for a minute before we get started. You know, it says so much that's true. Love is not proud. Love does not boast. Love, after all, matters the most. It's true. Divine love runs silently in and through us. It doesn't try to get our attention. It doesn't require acknowledgement or kudos. It is the divine harmonizer. Love does not run. Love does not hide. Love does not keep locked inside. It doesn't. Love doesn't run away from us. We run away from love, don't we? Yes, love doesn't run away from us. It's not hidden. We don't have to search for it. It's right here, right now, always present, always available in any quantity we want or need. Love will sustain. Love will provide. Love will not cease at the end of time. No matter what the situation is, by being centered in divine love, we have all we need to move through this human experience and will continually sustain us by providing all that we need. Love will protect. Love always hopes. Love still believes when you don't. Even when we're in a situation where we feel unsafe or wonder where is the faith to move forward our hopes, love is there to protect us. It holds us and believes. It moves us from fear to faith. Well, good morning. It's so good to be back here with you on this third Sunday of Advent. Wasn't that fun last week? My goodness, what a good time, virtually and in person. Thank you all for being there. And I have to say, kudos, even though love knows no kudos, let's give ourselves some kudos for pulling off that hybrid service last Sunday. We just had a good time. We had any number of people there, and there was good food and Christmas carols. Thank you, everybody. It was just a good time, and I'm so glad we did it. And a couple of housekeeping things before I go on. Remember, no Christmas Eve service this year. Christmas Eve is Sunday this year, so we'll celebrate Christmas and Christmas Eve Sunday morning at 10 a.m. And you're invited to wear some Christmas to the service. Anything you want. Christmas. Bring some Christmas with you to the Sunday morning service. And hold on to the envelope that you got with your white stone and the melting paper as we move into the end of this year and into next year. Advent meditation continues through Epiphany. Come and visit us. I'll be there today at noon. If you want to ring in a little bit more love, I hope to see you there. And I see we have some new faces here today. Susan, welcome. Good to see you here. And Pat and Tracy, welcome. And Esteban, was wonderful to see you last Sunday. Welcome back. Welcome. I hope you'll come back and see us again, everybody. And so, you know, I heard a couple stories and I wanted to share them with you. And I heard a story about a local newscaster was with the crowd of parade watchers. You know, there's Christmas parades and stuff around, and this local newscaster was there with a crowd of parade watchers. And he was that were welcoming Santa as he arrived in town. And in a live interview, this newscaster asked a bouncy 4-year-old girl if she had talked with this Santa yet to give him her Christmas list. No, she replied emphatically. Well, are you going to talk with Santa? The newscaster asked. No, once again was her answer. It was very definite and without question. And he wasn't expecting that reaction from her at all. So he asked her, why? And she says, because the real Santa's at the mall. Well, why bother talking to the fake Santa that's coming down? And then I heard about these two young boys, and they were spending the night at their grandparents' house. Some of you know about that. That's what goes on at Christmas, and so you invite them over. So keep an eye on them because, well, listen what happened with these boys. So they were at their grandmother's house the week before Christmas. And at bedtime, the two boys knelt beside their beds to say their prayers. The younger one began praying at the top of his lungs. I pray for a new bicycle. I pray for a new Nintendo. Well, his older brother leaned over, nudged him, and said, why are you shouting? God is not deaf. To which the little brother replied, no, but Grandma is. Get it? That's good. Grandma is. Now, well, never mind. I better pass that up. So here we are in the third week of Advent. We're going to talk about love, but just to review the first week of Advent, we talked about faith. And we said that faith was the perceiving power of mind linked with that faith is the perceiving power of mind linked with the power to shape substance. That faith is a deeper knowing, that which is sought in, I'm doing good this morning, that faith is a deep inner knowing, that knowing that which is sought is ours for the taking. You got to be careful with your commas. If you put them in at the wrong place and you use them, it can screw you up. So we said that faith is a deep inner knowing that which is sought is already ours for the taking. That here again we see that faith, exercised under the Christ dominion, is a faculty that actually brings about the good results that we seek. And then last week, we talked about peace. And we shared quite a bit about peace, but what we learned from Pema Chodron, what we really know that's truth is that before we'll ever know peace, we have to be peace. We have to know peace ourselves. We have to understand peace. And once we are peace, we have to give that peace away. Pema Chodron told us that war begins when we harden our hearts, and when we harden them easily in minor ways and then in quite serious major ways, such as hatred and prejudice, whenever we feel uncomfortable. It's so sad, really, she says, because our motivations in hardening our hearts is to find some kind of ease, some kind of freedom from the distress that we're feeling. Pema said, if we want there to be peace in the world, we have to be brave enough to soften what is rigid in our hearts, to find the soft spot and stay with it. We have to have that kind of courage and take that kind of responsibility. That is the true practice of peace. And so how do we soften our hearts? How do we let go of what's rigid? How do we participate in that practice of peace? Love. And let's get down to the basics of love right now at the beginning. The truth is that you've got to love yourself in order to really know love. Isn't that right, David Trolley?
I love myself so much that I can love you so much. Then you can love you so much that you can start loving me. Sing it now. I love myself so much that I can love you so much that you can love you so much that you can start loving me.
And that's it. That's the truth. You got to love yourself. To move forward in the divine power of love, it's, well, here we, it's like Pema Chodron with peace, right? To know peace, you have to be peace. You can't really know love. You can't really give love away. You can't really feel love until you're willing to love yourself. I remember, and I've told you this story before, but I remember when I was 17 years old. It was a tumultuous teenage time. I really didn't feel like I had any friends. I really felt lost in the world. It was just, I had such a bad self-image. Of course, I was a chubby little bugger with pimples on his face, and that didn't help, I mean, it really didn't help. And at 17, what a crucial time. And I was actually standing in the bathroom, looking in the mirror at the age of 17, and all I could see was this little chubby, pimply-faced teenager. And I said to myself, I don't like that. I don't like what I see. And then it hit me. It finally hit me. Well, if you don't like what you see, how can anybody else like what they see? What are you putting out there? I have to start to like myself exactly as I am. And that was a life changer for me. I went off to college and I liked myself and I had friends. And I lost a few pounds and the pimples cleared up. And oh boy, where did those pimples come from in the first place? Maybe I let them come out. Maybe I just didn't have enough love for myself. Maybe I wasn't thinking the right thoughts. And what was I manifesting? But as soon as I said, I love you, Richard, just exactly as you are. And I invite you to say that to yourself. As a matter of fact, if you can see yourself right now on the screen that you're looking at, just look at it. Look at yourself. Look into your eyes or look into my eyes and say, I love myself exactly as I am. I love myself. I love you, Richard. I love you. Why, you almost begin to believe it. So, what is this love we're talking about? The Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, Charles Fillmore says this: love is a divine attribute. It is an idea in the one mind. God is love and love is God, or a quality in being. The difference between divine love and human love is that divine love is broad and unlimited, a universal harmonizing power. Human love is based on personality and is selfish, lawless, and fickle. The development of divine love has its place in demonstrating supply. When love is established in the consciousness, it will draw to us all that we require to make us happy and contented, all that really belongs to us. We develop love in our heart by asking daily that the infinite love of the universe be poured out upon us, by praying, by meditating, and affirming that we are one with and express at all times the perfect love of God. And I assure you that that has to begin with you. I assure you that you have to love yourself first, exactly as you are. Exactly as you are. And watch what happens when you let that love into your life. Frank Giudice, who I'm going to tell you a little bit more about in a second, wrote a series of sermons and talks back in the 70s. And one particular series was entitled Love Yourself into wholeness. Love yourself into wholeness. To really know wholeness, you have to love yourself, and loving yourself into it opens up a whole new world for us. Frank says spiritual healing is healing of the soul. All outer circumstances are simply an out picturing, or simply an out picturing of the soul. So to be really healed is to be healed of the thoughts and feelings that have brought out the circumstances we are experiencing. Let me say that last sentence again. So to be really healed is to be healed of the thoughts and feelings that have brought out the circumstances we are experiencing. So Frank Giudice was a Unity minister. And if any of you have been in Unity and done any Unity studying, taken any metaphysics courses, you've probably heard the name Frank and Martha Giudice. Frank was a Unity minister. He was ordained in 1968, and he married Martha in 1969. He was a local boy here. He graduated from San Rafael High School in 1946 and from Santa Clara University with an accounting degree in 1950. He became an accountant in San Francisco, then a sports coach at Hannah Boys Center in Sonoma, then went into the U.S. Army Artillery as an instructor during the Korean conflict. Then he went off to Unity School of Religious Studies and became an ordained Unity minister, and just was a wonderful preacher and was a wonderful metaphysician. And he says this: all problems, challenges, or whatever we choose to call them, stem from this one basic problem: the inability to love ourselves totally and unconditionally. Think about that. It's true. All the challenges, anything that stands in our way, any thoughts that really don't serve us, that we don't want, they all come from something we've created, some story we've got going on that has to do with not loving ourselves, something wrong with ourselves, some way that we're being that we don't want to be, but we are that way. And he goes on to say that while there may be many ways to overcome our inability to love ourselves, it may be that healing the parent wound is most effective. Furthermore, our generation may be the first in history to have a reasonable chance in overcoming unresolved pain regarding mom and dad. Oh, poor mom and dad. Poor mom and dad. But let's talk about that a little bit more. Let's look at it. Why do we not love and fully accept ourselves? And I'm paraphrasing Giudice and adding a little bit of my own thoughts into this. And so Giudice says, at this point, a question comes to the mind. Why don't we love ourselves? Why does this lack of self-love exist? He says, if we're children of God, children of love, and heirs to all that God is, then why don't we fully accept ourselves as such? Good question. Well, there are a number of possible answers to this question, and one that certainly fits has to do with the fact that we are beings. It's true, we are beings. And so we have to look at that. We are human beings on a human experience. And as we grow up in life, we allow ourselves to respond in a variety of ways to outer stimuli that is constantly being presented to us. And we talk about that outer stimuli, don't we? The news, the newspaper, the conversations that we overhear, everything that's going on in the world. We we constantly respond and we hear ourselves and we allow ourselves to respond in a variety of ways to this outer stimuli. As a matter of fact, we're bombarded with all sorts of outer stimuli, such as the words and actions of others, or even natural occurrences, such as sunshine, such as rain, wind, and so forth. And one reason that we might not fully accept ourselves and love ourselves is that we become conditioned through the action of our peers, through the action of the people that we associate with in an everyday world. One of the ways in which our conditioning resulted in our not loving ourselves was through the actions of our peers when we were youngsters. Do you remember, Judas, he says, how warm and loving we felt toward our friends at times? But then things could change at the drop of a hat, and suddenly we were mad at each other. Then we began to say things to each other that really went deep, or we'd begin to tease each other and laugh. Tubby, tubby, 2x4, can't fit through the kitchen door. Ah, ha, 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 ha. And we begin to believe it. We begin to soak it in. And it happens in our youth, and we become conditioned. The point is that during these early years, we were very impressionable. And anything that was directed towards us, whether it was positive or negative, was pretty well accepted by us. Matter of fact, we called it fact. We took it in. And so therefore, we began to believe a lot of things that were said to us about us, and especially when they were said by our peers. Peer pressure as a youngster, and we know this, we see it, is rough. It's tough. By accepting many of these negative things that were said, we began to develop a sense of lack of self-worth. In other words, it all resulted in our not loving ourselves as we should have been doing. We begin to see how we begin to become conditioned into not loving ourselves, into believing what we hear from others and in what others do and say. And we become conditioned to bring that lack with us. All of this results in our being conditioned in a sense that we adopt certain thought patterns in relationship to this outer stimuli. And these thought patterns stay with us, at least until we change them. They stay with us at least until we change them. So there's hope. We can change that conditioning. We can stop listening. We can stop the story. We can begin to use affirmative statements. I love myself. I accept myself exactly as I am. I am enough. I am worthy. The law of mind action states that thoughts held in mind produce in the outer after their kind. The unfortunate thing is that some of these thought patterns result in our not loving ourselves totally and unconditionally. And another reason that we have difficulty loving ourselves is because of authority figures. I can relate to that. Another reason as to why we don't love ourselves enough, Judas, he says, it has to do with another kind of conditioning. In this case, it was at the hands of some authority figure, such as a parent, a close relative, or maybe a teacher in school. That stopped me because I can think of a teacher in school in 5th grade as we were preparing for Christmas, the Christmas play, and we were singing, and she walked past me and said, "Don't sing. Mouth the words, just don't sing." Well, I haven't sung since. She cut it to the quick, and I believed it. I was young and impressionable. She may have been right, but that's beside the point. The authority figure, and so we respond to authority figures. This has to do with the fact that most of us were conditioned. Oh, here, listen to this now. This is important. Judici really sums it up here. He says, this has to do with the fact that most of us were conditioned to love others and not ourselves. As a matter of fact, we may have been conditioned to believe that it's even wrong to love yourself. In many cases, this was supported by religious training that stated that we're worthless, that we're evil, that we're sinners. And we grow up with that, and we're bad. We're not encouraged to love ourselves. I'm sure the authority figures that were involved here had good intentions. I mean, I'm certain they were. Our parents certainly had good intentions. For one thing, they were trying to help us develop character traits that would enable us to get along with other people. They were helping us, or trying to help us, become acceptable to society. And this in itself was good. Nevertheless, the emotional damage was still done. And the result was a lack of self-love and appreciation. You know, if you stop and think about it, you'll probably discover that it's socially acceptable to love other people, but not yourself. He's a narcissist. Oh, she loves herself. It's not socially acceptable. We're conditioned that way. Can you imagine what would happen if you walked up and said to someone, "Hello there, how are you? You know, I love myself." Well, you'd probably get some strange looks, wouldn't you? And some comments too. No, it's much more socially acceptable to love others. It's okay to walk up to others and say, "I love you." Although under circumstances that can get you into trouble too, can't it? You never know in today's world what can happen when you bring love up, because it means not really divine love, but people go to human love. Another reason why we don't love ourselves enough is closely connected with what we've just said about being conditioned to love others and not ourselves. And that is that most people are not taught how to love themselves. We're not. Is there anybody out there that someone sat you down to teach you how to love yourself? I can't claim it. Put a note in the chat if you can claim it. And as we said, we were taught just the opposite, how to love others, but not ourselves. It's like learning to do anything, driving a car, sailing a boat, painting a picture. Somewhere along the line, it's helpful to receive some training. And this also applies to loving oneself. With that said, I want to go back to the basics. I invite you this week, as you go forth and think about the word of Advent this week, as you think about love, to stop, to make a point at least 3 to 10 times a day to stand in front of a mirror and say, I love you. I love myself. I accept myself exactly as I am. I love me. I am divine love. And I guarantee this, why, at the end of the week, you'll be saying, I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. Have a great week. Love yourself. Thank you for being here today.